Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Magpie Circle. Two halves. I thought in the spirit of fairness, and he's been a regular guest on the show. We're all licking our wounds in Nottingham. Nathan Salt from Rob Ryan Red is clearly a happy bunny or a happy dragon or whatever you want to call it. Your views tonight already had lots of thoughts and observations for those of that were able to be there in person, and also those of us watching it on the television. Lots of thoughts. We will keep it, unlike the numpties on social media, which sadly both clubs have a few, but then again, who doesn't these days? Keep all your thoughts, points, and views respectful as always. Tell you what, as we're honourable guests, and being magnanimous, Nathan, you go first. What's the Wrexham take from yesterday?
Firstly, I was going to say that I got stopped in the car park, Paul, and someone said, "I recognise you," and I thought, well, "Where from?" I thought, and not Spain said, "I recognise you." He said, "I recognise you because you chat to Paul Mace on the Magpie Circle." So there you go. I got spotted. I tap on the shoulder, and I thought, "Oh no, I don't need." Don't need. So I'm obviously fully kitted out, and no, there you go. So that's. I thought I would say that. What's the Wrexham mood? Is that was huge. That was absolutely massive after a first half where we didn't even have a shot. I don't think, at Sam Slocum. We definitely didn't have one on target. I don't know if we had a shot off target. We barely got the ball. You were easily far and away the best footballing team we'd seen all season. Didn't translate into the result, but we haven't seen football like that at the racecourse for a long time from an opposition team. We're used to bossing the ball, and I'd listened to a few different podcasters and read and spoken to people at Notts, and they said, at home, the front foot is the key, and defensively, they don't have to defend that often, and when they do, slightly suspect, they're slightly vulnerable. And I think until we really went for it, in that second half, we really tried to blow the doors down, and we did. And I didn't think you were able to cope with it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. Let's get a few thoughts from Notts fans online. Jurgen, I've given up on automatic. They only need 2 wins, that being Wrexham. We build for the playoffs and get our confidence back up for the Woking game. Wrexham game is done and dusted. We move on. Ian Cooksey, the first name on Saturday's team sheet should be Bajrami. Don't make him to be the scapegoat like some fans are. Michael Bath, that's a new name, I think. Sam Austin should be in the starting team on Saturday. The guy's energetic and brought a spark yesterday. Great crosser of the ball and unlucky not to score. Chris Gosling, if Wrexham get any kind of result v Barnet, then it's game over. We'll have a good few hours to digest it before we kick off. Ian Cooksey, I think this is about spot on. The key to it all was not letting in a goal in the first 20 minutes of the second half. If it had got to 65 minutes at 1-0, it would have led to them attacking more and leaving gaps for us to exploit. Northants Pie automatic is 100% gone. Just hope we don't get done in the playoffs. Ian Cooksey, big players like Langstaff, Chickson, Mane and Ruben were all blocked out of the game. Michael Bath, we scored at a perfect time, but gave them impetus by conceding so quickly in the second half. Evening all, Ian Birchinall, it's the lottery of the playoffs, he says tongue in cheek. My views on lottery and playoffs are well known, Nathan. Not a lottery. What else?
I just thought I'd say, Paul, from watching I don't watch your players a lot, and I thought Palmer in the middle was fabulous. I thought he was a fabulous footballer, and I thought him and Jim O'Brien really schooled our midfield for 45 minutes. I thought Elliot Lee, Andy Cannon, I thought was not at his best. I don't think he was influential at all, really, in proceedings. Elliot Lee definitely grew into it. But I thought Palmer in particular, of all the players I was expecting to look at, Ruben Rodriguez, a lot of expectation around him. I thought he was bright in flashes. And the man I was excited to see, thought again he had moments but wasn't consistent. Chickson I thought was poor. He didn't look like he wanted to take on the man at any point. I don't know whether he normally does, but he didn't look like he wanted to even try and get past Barnett. So I was really disappointed in him. Langstaff, obviously, it wasn't his day. But Palmer, I thought, was I think he's the one who's tied down for next season, isn't he? I think
Correct. You've
he,
got him on a long-term. He's a good
yeah,
player.
he's
He's
a
8.5, 9 out of 10 every game.
yeah, he's a fabulous player. Fabulous. And I was saying to the guys next to me, if Wrexham were to sign anyone from here, if I'd never seen Notts before, that is the guy that I thought was a cut above everyone else.
Let's just get some more points and then we'll pick up on a few things. Northampton, the only time we caused them any real problems was when Jody Jones came on and ran at them directly. Chris Ramsden, a very weak defence could cost us promotion. That's it. I'm turning off now, looking at that smiling Nathan, says Ian Birchinall. Respectfully, people saying Mullin annoys Notts fans. Jurgen Halligan, best away record in the league and best home defence this season, only conceding 11 goals. Wish people would get off the defenders' backs. James Shipley, strongly disagree with those criticising the defence. Our defensive stats show we are one of the best in the league. The very high line was tough to play against a team like Wrexham. Ian Birchinall, I said the team to win will be those making least errors. That was Wrexham, so well done indeed. We need to look into the playoffs now and focus, says Craig Smith. Neil Woodison, not given up on the league. What is up with you all? Derek Flowers, Ruben shouldn't have started. He obviously wasn't fit or well. Ian Cooksey, it's not getting on their backs. It's a case of individual and collective errors leading to goals being given away. Tactics were wrong, not the defence, says Northants Pie. Chris Gosling, the high line stopped us doing what every team does versus Wrexham, which is sitting deep and giving away territory. We only faced 4 long toes of throws due to this. Tactics nearly right. I'll just give you my thoughts on kind of, I don't know whether it's the defence, because your defence is a whole team, so I don't know whether it's the back line or not, but I'll get this one off my chest. You got beat 3-1 at Halifax, yeah, Nathan?
Yeah.
I can remind you of that now, because that's
Yeah.
about 14 years ago for you lot. You're playing us. First half, I thought we managed the game well. There wasn't a great deal of drama in our box. I thought we had spells with possession, and I thought we were effective. And then, if you're going to score a goal away from home, the 45th minute is not a bad time to be doing it, given the context of Wrexham coming into this game on the back of a 3-1 defeat, not having lost 2 games all season. So we go in 1-0. And I think it was pretty obvious Parkinson was reading the right act to your lot, the way Ollie Palmer came out and started running about. And for me, we focus a lot on statistics, and I appreciate that's the modern game. But for me, the title door had swung open for Notts. At half time, the door is open, right? And the fact we're 1-0 up means that door's even more open. And it's for us now, right, to shut that door on you and keep us in pole position, put us in pole position. And I think it's not about apportioning individual blame to people, right? But I think it borders on the criminal to concede 3 goals in the way we did against a team where probably you could argue Wrexham were facing their most pressurised environment of the entire season, having lost 3-1 3 days ago. And you can call it game management, you can call it mentality, you can say it's poor defending, whatever you want to call it. And this is not, and clearly Notts have been brilliant this season alongside Wrexham. But I think it's criminal that we allow ourselves to concede 3 goals. I thought Mullin was outstanding. Second half, Mullin absolutely ran us ragged. No other way to describe it. But I thought we went AWOL, and as a side, unforgivable that we concede 3 goals for the whole momentum of the game to change when we should have just blocked you out. I can't understand for the life of me why Mullin, he's a very good player, he's a physical player, but we didn't seem to match him in that second half. I didn't think,
No.
And that's not criticising defenders or saying we're rubbish or putting the boot in. I just thought very, very poor in that second half.
Yeah, he had a look in his eyes. He's never played poorly 2 games in a row for us. He's had games where, at Halifax he was poor. He was anonymous, and he just looked like he had the look in his eyes. And what I would say, and this isn't, I'm not going to come on here and say Mullin or over Langstaff or whatever, but I
No, no,
think
no,
you
no,
could
no.
see, I think you could see the difference in the stylistically. You could see the difference because Langstaff is obviously a phenomenal player, but had no service really. I didn't think he got any chances
We only
crafted
play
for
one up
him.
front as well, which doesn't help.
Yeah.
Doesn't
And
help.
so I didn't think I was waiting for him to have a shot, and I don't really think he got one or got. I can't think of any great chances. Whereas Mullin will just drop back to the halfway line if he needs to, and will just make it work. Street footballer vibes he gives off, and he'll bully in. You could say it's you lot may say it's a foul on the centre back for the goal, but like you said, you just didn't really match him physically. You knew what he was about, and Luke Williams I thought was top class at the end. I don't know whether that would infuriate fans, and even Mullin. I thought there was a good deal of respect at the end. Reynolds was talking about Notts County, but Mullin, I thought he was the difference really. No one else on the pitch for me in a Wrexham shirt massively stood out. I thought in the first half, your guys, like I said, Palmer, bossed up. You knocked it around with such ease, and it was frustrating for us because we were kind of letting you knock it around with ease. We weren't really pressing you and closing you down. I think the linesman, when you watch it back, was flagging for offsides. We were a yard or two on. I don't know what was going on there. Um, because your high line, I thought, given Mullin in behind, given Mendy, given Barnett, I thought was a brave thing to do. And people saying the tactics were wrong, I'd say you were within a penalty away from 3-3, and it is what it is. Kedron Scott Curley doesn't normally take the pens. I thought Langstaff might have taken it. He didn't. And that's that. But I was just surprised by how many of your players I thought would rise to the occasion, and I don't think they did. I think that some of your players didn't stand up and be counted. And I don't want to be too critical because you've only lost 3-2 in the 90. I just thought big players who've turned up for your season in that second half wilted rather than got stronger. You said that door had opened. That should have emboldened some of your lads to go, this is the chat. We thought it was gone
Yeah.
when we drew. This was gone for us. And the manager said it had gone publicly anyway. It had gone. Wrexham, and they would have seen all the stuff about Wrexham fans talking about when's the title going to be, when's the promotion going to be, and all that. So much siege mentality, fuel, and all that. You're 1-0 up, like you say. You're playing. You're the better team. You're going to expect a whirlwind. That was obvious. I'm sure Luke Williams said they're going to come at us, and I thought the atmosphere was pretty good from the home fans. In fairness, and you concede within 2 minutes, and then the game plans.
Yeah.
Then you struggling, then you scrambling. Suddenly we're 3-1 up, and you can't believe it, and the game's gone basically. So I was surprised by how many of your players shrunk rather than grew in that second half.
Yeah, it's a very difficult one, Nathan, and it's not a weakness. You can't say it's a weakness because both teams have got 100 points plus. So this is an exceptional.
Yeah.
These are two incredibly exceptional teams for this level of football, the fifth tier of English football. Sometimes I'm just a tad concerned, by mental strength, mental resilience, because I would judge Notts County as you would judge Wrexham to be entitled to be the best team in the league.
Right.
Yeah, and
right.
Look, you are going to, in 99% certain probability, you're going to get more points. You're going to win the league. You deserve to win the league, and you're the best team. And you're the best team. No arguments. I mean, me and you were on Radio 5 yesterday, Radio Wales, you know, and for me, Ryan Reynolds, despite the numpties on social media, I would put him already in the top 5% of all owners, and Rob McElhenney. I'd put them in the top 5% of all owners in British football for the way that they are going about the job. They've put money in, yeah. They've not put 10 times more money in than Notts County. It's cost Alexander and Christoph Reach 10 million quid so far. It's probably cost Ryan Reynolds, I don't know, 3 the first year, probably cost him another couple this year. Let's say it's cost him 5 mil, yeah. But he's got them up inside 18 months, 2 years. So I don't have any problems with the, we all use the word loosely, investment. I have no problems. I think he's done a brilliant job. Incredibly respectful, shows far more respect than elements of our fan base on social media, with the minute silence for Jason Turner before the game that was impeccably observed, not just by our fans, which you'd like to think it would be, but by your fan base as well. He was very complimentary, as you alluded to in his post-match interviews. I think there's an awful lot of respect between the two clubs, between Wrexham and Notts, and we kind of both think we both should be going up automatically, but realistically, the league were never going to change the rules halfway through the competition. Oh, well, if two teams get 100 points, we'll promote them both and not bother with the playoffs this year. It's never going to happen.
No.
So Wrexham will, in all probability, get more points than us, and Wrexham deserve to win the title. No arguments, no complaints. Just that little nagging doubt, because when we play the playoffs, and you will know this far more than we do, even though we've had some bad experiences with them. We play, I think, or we win a lot of style points. We win huge amounts of plaudits from the way that we play. You picked up on it. However, you won 3-2. Okay, I'd rather us had 22% possession and us won 3-2. Okay,
Right.
But unquestionably, we play a certain brand of football that's bold and is not necessarily commonly practiced at this level because you need certain kinds of players to do it. The just slight nagging doubt I have is that when we play playoff games, we will not win a playoff semi-final 5-0, right? And then win the playoff final 4-0. It won't happen. It will not happen. And you know this. Like you had Grimsby last year. The team come in, will work out to live off 25% possession, scraps, whatever. And a massive part of this is mentality. So if you look at Wrexham yesterday against us and compare that Wrexham team to when you were playing, for instance, Grimsby last year in a playoff game, I'd suggest possibly chalk and cheese.
No. I mean, look, last season, one injury felt crippling. Aaron Hayden goes down, and all of a sudden, panic stations. He's one of our main guys. Blah blah blah. Now it's like, okay, our captain. I mean, he was on the bench this game. Luke Young, he came on and got the armband, but now we've got depth of players. Jordan Davis got 20 goals from midfield a few seasons ago, and now he can't make the bench. So the depth is unbelievable. They've invested to have that depth. And now it feels like, oh, okay, well, Jordan Tunnicliffe, our main centre back's out injured. So he wasn't there. And then they just put Tom O'Connor, CDM from League One, slot him in at left centre back. He was man of the match for me. So it's that mentality is we have one of the deepest teams in the league, with the deepest squads in the league. And midfield, ultimately, they didn't handle the pressure last season. We lost at Dagenham on the final day. We were always chasing Stockport, but we lost at Dagenham. We got turned over there 3-0. We then went and played the FA Trophy final. We lost that at Wembley. Big day out, lots of fans. We choked that against Bromley. We didn't lay a glove on them. We then have to rally ourselves and go against Grimsby. We lose 5-4. So you look at the end of the season, we lost the final game when we could have caught Stockport. I know they won anyway, so it was redundant. We lost the FA Trophy final against the Bromley team we were better than. Not on the day, but we were a better squad than. We choked that one up. And then we lost at Grimsby 5-4 in that freak game. And obviously, you also lost to Grimsby. So you maybe could say, well, they went on and got up, but we didn't handle the pressure. We couldn't handle the pressure last year. That home crowd was almost a detriment to it, and now they're embracing it, and you've seen that we haven't lost all season at home, and we've got 2 games to go. But what I would say in the playoffs, and we've seen it many a time, is that someone like Boreham Wood is going to come to Meadow Lane, if it is you in the playoffs and not us, on 7th of May. 12:30 kickoff, and they are going to make it as uncomfortable for you as possible.
Absolutely.
They are going to, Luke Garrard or whoever it is, Barnett. I'm more thinking someone like a Boreham Wood, a Woking, someone like that. Are going to make it as miserable as possible. And say you do get out of that, say you do turn up that day and you get through. It's what are you about? What are you made of at Wembley in a playoff final against, say, a Chesterfield? And it's Andy Dallas, Paul McCarthy. They're good. They're no mugs. They are loading up for the playoffs, and they've been loading up for the playoffs for months now. They've been out the picture for months, since February. So, look, I don't want to be too critical of Notts, because, like I say, you were a Kedwin Scott penalty away from a draw, and then we're even, and you're still top. And even though we'd have the game in hand, you'd still be thinking, all right, they've got to go to Barnet and they've got to win.
Yeah.
and a draw at Barnet. So then the psychology is different. So it was really fine margins, but you've got to hope that they learn the lessons from that Wrexham game, because you folded like a house of cards, really. And it is about mentality. It's not about, everybody is talented in the playoffs. They're and the frustrating thing is your guys will be thinking, well, we're 35 points, 40 points ahead of Bournemouth. Means absolutely nothing. It means absolutely squat when you get into the playoffs. It's just going to be 90 minutes, Meadow Lane. And all I would say is you're going to have to hope that certain players perform a lot better. Like I say, particularly the fullbacks, I thought, I don't want to be too harsh, but I thought they had a lot of plaudits and they didn't step up. And so you can point the fingers at the centre backs, but I thought the wing backs are going to be big for you, and that they weren't.
Right, we're all going to slit our wrists now.
No, you look, Paul.
End of show. Oh dear.
Paul, I'll be honest. And a lot of Wrexham fans said this, and I thought Mullin saying, praising Langstaff, and he hates this narrative that it's him v Langstaff. He hates that. He said, "Look, I'm chuffed for him. I'm proud of him. He's broke the record. Good on him. He's a great striker." So that was cool. I thought that was good. But I think there are a lot of Wrexham fans, and there are, like you say, numpties that love to call out and would putting pictures of Langstaff on the bus with his pizza or whatever. But there are a lot, I think, that want Notts to go up.
Yeah.
Because, we've had this back and forth, but we want that back and forth again in League Two. It'll be a good laugh, and we can have a good laugh then trying to go for 3 spots, because ultimately we know what it's like to have 98 points. I've been on here at the start of the season when we got 98, finished to Fleetwood, and we bottled it in the playoffs straight away. It's rubbish. You don't deserve it, and fine. You may say, well, you get what you deserve. If Boreham would get promoted, they deserve it, and I'm sure they do. But Notts have earned it, and Wrexham have earned it. So I can safely say if Wrexham win the league, and I'm pretty sure, and I hope they will, I'll be rooting for Notts. I've got no issue about that. I'll be rooting for Notts to go up because, I want to see sporting excellence rewarded, and you've got to earn that in a playoff, two games. But I don't want to see Chesterfield go up, so I'd rather Notts go up.
No, I think we'd all agree on that one. Let me read a few comments. Michael Bath, we need to make teams earn goals. Wrexham gave us nothing, but we scored 2 goals. Despite our good defensive record, we have gifted way too many goals. Ben Hawks says, for me, it's criminal to go through a game not creating anything for Langstaff or even giving him a touch. For all the passing, we never actually looked like creating anything. Chris Gosling, I'm glad the game is gone now. Northants Pie, I was genuinely impressed by Wrexham's tactics in not giving space in front of their defenders. They refused to get dragged out of position. Ian says they beat us with the way they played, nothing else. Our players are still going to see us out the league. We certainly hope so. Chris Gosling, Wrexham lose to Barnet, draw if Boreham would, and Torquay. That's the only hope we have. It's not going to happen, though. Jurgen Halligan, Wrexham played well second half. They were unlucky with the offside calls. Some were defo onside. I agree with everything you've said, Paul, regards the mentality, defensive, playoffs, etc. Chris B, we played exactly like we have played all season. No problem with that. Wrexham may have edged it, but they were at home and have quality players. But for a couple of errors and a pen save, that was the difference. A.D. Clark, fair play to Wrexham, deserved to win, capitalised on defensive errors. Still proud of Luke Williams and the boys. P.S. If Nathan finds Ruben's tooth, please post it back. We'll give you a 6pence, Nathan. You have to be a certain age to remember.
Yeah,
the teeth came out. And you got 6pence under the pillar. That was in about the 1960s. Ian Cooksey, I don't think we had anybody physically strong enough to deal with Mullin. It's the one thing we lack. Ian, winning the playoffs is more special anyway, and we can easily beat anyone else in the league. You can in a regular season game. I don't think it's like that in a playoff one-off game. James Shipley, the 2 teams and clubs are a class above the National League at the end of the day, and it showed. Beat each other on home turf, 3-3 on aggregate, swap top spot 14 or so times. Justice sees us both go up. Nick G, game of two halves, couple of lapses. Mullin played to the occasion. Didn't cause him many problems in the second half. Chris Gosling, no divine right to win playoffs just because we have 100 plus points. Go into them with that attitude, we get eliminated. We need to earn the right to go up that way if needed. Neil Woodison, can't blame the result yesterday. Lost at Dorking, drew at Gateshead. These games cost us. Chris Gosling, nothing has cost us other than another team getting more points. All teams drop points in the course of a season. Michael Bath, no team is going to roll over in the playoffs. We need the whole team to show up. If we play to our capability, we will win. If not, it's up for grabs. We also have the baggage of the last 3 years. Completely agree, Neil, says James Shipley. Those in Yeovil at home, Oldham away are other games I'd look at that look like costing us the title rather than yesterday. The refs have affected all teams at some point. Unfortunately, you get what you pay for with National League officials. They weren't much better in the Prem this weekend, and that's with VAR. Ian Birchnell, your sartorial elegance, Nathan. Not that we're casting aspersions on how you normally get dressed. Nathan has made an effort tonight, very dapper.
There you go.
Nathan's been in work at the Daily Mail offices.
There you go.
So he's got the old tie on, I think.
There you go. Yeah.
Right, it's not red. Anyway, Andrew Blatherwick, previous seasons, we never looked like serious title contenders. Yeah, we have more backbone, but there is still a slight doubt about our physical element. What else have we got? There's so many tonight. Gary Wardle, our football only works on a non-contact situ. If teams contend with us, we are always likely to slip up. I think that's kind of one of the points you've been making there, Nathan, isn't it? Is that Boreham Wood, Barnet, Eastleigh, whoever it is we play, they will play to a certain formula. And we can be, as I'm sure Wrexham could be, dismissive of the way they play, the number of points they have got. And we play Barnet or any of those over the course of a season, you get 4-6 points out of them. But for 90 minutes, it's a slightly different mindset in a playoff game, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, I mean, they'll try to bully you. All of those teams you just mentioned, they will try to bully you, and they will test the resolve of your players. You know, will you go in for these crunching 50-50s? Boreham Wood, they're like robots. They don't seem to have any pain threshold. They just fly into challenges. I've seen awful, you know, and they will lay it down early on these players. And I'm not saying it, I'm not casting any aspersions on your lads. Maybe if, you know, there had been those crunching challenges yesterday, your lads would have gone and shook it off. But that's what they will try and do, because they know that if they play football, this is why most teams come to the racecourse. They don't play football. They sit off, they time waste, they go down. They go down when they know the manager's saying, go down, let's get a breather.
Yeah,
They do all that.
Yeah,
all that kidology. They'll do all of that, and they'll try and eat the clock, and then everyone gets a bit jittery because it's still 0-0, and we should be beating Eastleigh. We finished 35 points ahead of them, 40 points ahead of them. But ultimately, they'll try and stop you playing football, because if they play football, they'll lose. All right? If they play football like Wrexham, they'll lose. If they play football like Notts, they're going to lose. So, you know, they will try and they know that, look, they can't just say, oh, we'll just stop Ruben Rodriguez then. It's not that simple. Then you've got Naman and Chickson and Palmer and O'Brien and all these, and Austin, I thought was great when he came on. And Jody Jones, I thought was really dynamic and really direct when he came on. You know, all these players, what they'll try and do is get in your heads. And I think in a way, I know we couldn't defend for Toffee last season in the Grimsby game, but I think in a way they got in our heads a bit. People like Luke Waterfall, you know, they really laid it on us, and elbows were out, and they were flying into challenges, and it looked like our lads froze a bit. And we've responded well to that. We've gone on and strengthened and got even better. But I'd be fascinated to see the reaction now for Woking, because Woking is not the game you needed next. You know, maybe, well, in a weird way, you look at it two ways. Maybe it is the perfect game next. Maybe it is let's see what you're about now. Another tough team, you know, third in the league or whatever they are now, third or fourth. Maybe in a way, it could be, you could flip it two ways: the perfect game, or it's the worst game. Maybe you'd like a Maidstone next, and you get 4-0 win, and you get back on the horse. Or maybe you need another test and say this is not his defining week. Because if you go into the playoffs and the defeat of Wrexham is a turning point in a way where, all right, we can't be bullied like that again. We've got to get physical. And I know it shouldn't take till now to realise that, but Halifax was an aberration. I can't describe to you, Paul, how poor that second half was. We were speechless at what we saw. And in a way, it was the best thing we could have had, because after the Notts game, people said at half time, they were, cussing each other out and saying, we've had Halifax, we've got to respond. We have to respond. This is our season on the line here. We threw it away on Friday. We were winning at half time. We threw that away. Now the shoe's on the other foot, and we've got to save our season here. Which is very hyperbolic, but I mean, it really felt like that. So it'll be interesting to see how your boys respond. I think if you go and beat Woking and lay down a marker, I think that'll be a timely. I think that'll be a timely, notice to the rest that, all right, Notts are not going to bury their head in the sand now like we did when we got 98 points.
Yeah, I mean, two minds on what you're talking about with Woking. I mean, clearly we can still get automatic. Don't for a moment.
Right. No, right.
So you've got to treat Woking as a game in a regular season where points can still, in theory, put an element of pressure on you. I guess because you're kicking off earlier.
Well, we could have lost by then. You never know.
Yeah,
And then,
we will know. We
right.
will know. So, but if and I'm looking a little too far ahead. For me now, Notts have got, assuming you win 12:30 on Saturday, I think it's a 2-game season for Notts County. I think it's a playoff semi-final that we know will be at home against one of the. It won't be Chesterfield the way the points are.
Yeah.
It won't be Woking. You perm one of Boreham Wood, Barnet, Eastleigh. I think there's one other, but all of those sides, like you've just said, we know how they will play. We know how they will come to Meadow Lane and have a certain game plan. And for me, it's about us turning up. And personally, if we defend and play in the second half like we did against you, then I think Barnet, Boreham would beat us. I think they would beat us, because you can't make those kind of errors in a playoff game. I don't think. And
No.
yes, you can turn around and say, well, yeah, well, they haven't got Mullin, they haven't got so and so, they haven't got this. But the reality is, for an element of this game, it will be very tight. And they might have a long throw, they might have a corner, and these are all things where we have to be absolutely at it. And this is not a criticism, because for 95% of the season we have been. But the only reason we draw a very small question mark at this moment in time is because, as I said to you, we were 1-0 up at half time at your place, and the door is open for us to see that game out, and we are in the box position. And then could we handle it to win the league? We didn't. And that's why there's the question mark, allied to previous campaigns. And that just, to me, is that's the challenge.
It's a fair look, and it's always, look, when it's your team. I know I was so confident before Halifax, and then suddenly your world's crashing down when you've lost to a team at the Shea you've got nothing to play for, and it's hard to, I've been beaten down for years. This is our 15th year, and I'm sure it won't take you that long, but we until I see the trophy in the hand, I can't really believe it to be true, because I've seen us get close and then we somehow blow it. And look, even like I said, though, even with everything that went wrong in that second half, you were a penalty away from basically making us go to Barnet and win. We would have had to have won that game. Now we go to Barnet, if we get a point, it's not the end of the world. That's the tricky game, probably our toughest one left. And I'm still hoping we go there and win, but that draw would have just kept you on top. And yeah, Luke Williams saying it wouldn't have mattered. It would have mattered, because the psychology is completely different. He's saying it wouldn't have mattered. We needed to win. I get that, but if you'd have snatched away a win from Wrexham. You're saying you threw it away at 1-0 half time. Well, then imagine snatching away a 97th minute penalty from a handball that was a blatant handball. Psychologically, Wrexham have got to get that out of the system. That's hard to do. You had it well, ironically, in the palm of your hands. I mean, O'Connell did have it in the palm of his hand, didn't he? Unfortunately,
Was it a pen?
but
I've not even watched it,
it
to be
was a
honest.
pen. It
It
was a
took one
pen.
on telly to
It,
see. It was outside the silhouette and all that, yeah?
it was a pen. I mean, I was at the other end and I thought penalty. It was a weird. I don't know what he was thinking. He's panicked. He's not thought. He can't get his head to it, and he's just thought get something on it, and it's stupid. But anyway, so I'm thinking we've they've not offered that much. Sam Austin had a good chance. Jody Jones and that Kyle Cameron header, the goal that was really poor from our from us. But you're thinking psychologically that would have absolutely devastated us. After Halifax, we'd have gone, right, we've got 1 point out of 6. We were seconds away from beating Notts County. So I think I have to say, I think he got a lot right, Luke Williams, but I think he was wrong. I think a draw there would have, I know it's ifs, buts, maybes, it's gone now, but I think that would have been hugely significant. And so for us, psychologically, it's massive now. We've got to go to Barnet. We know we don't need to win. And if because Barnet, you went there, it's tough. They're tough. We've got good players. They're annoying. They're irritating. But for me, I think of all the teams I wouldn't want to face in the playoffs, it'd be Boreham Wood. They are like nothing else. They are in a way anti-football, and that's not to be too critical. They're good at what they're good at, which is what a lot of teams don't want to be. Physical, ugly on the eye, really, but effective. They're effective. They're always up there. They got to the 5th or 6th round of the FA Cup.
All the best players.
And yeah, and they're just effective. And Nathan Ashmore in goal is one of the best keepers in the division, I would say. And look, like I say, it's still on for you. It's not over yet. It's definitely probably 99% probable we can get over the line now. But you'll know, won't you? That late kickoff, you'll know exactly where you stand. And look, if we lose, you'll say the door's slightly back ajar. All we can do is put the pressure back on, beat Woking, and then it's pressure back on, and then we've got to go under the lights on the Tuesday and get a result against a Yeovil team that could already be down, but we've seen it. Dover were down and we had to beat them 6-5, so they had nothing to play for, hadn't got any points. So I don't know. Let's not Wrexham fans. I think all the text I'm getting today, let's not count the chickens yet. Let's not start engraving the trophy before it's actually, because it felt winner takes all. Being there yesterday, it felt like people were hugging each other and celebrating like it was done, and it isn't done. It's nearly done. If you're a Wrexham perspective, it's nearly there. You need 7 more points from 4 games, 7 out of 12. You'd fancy that if you're a Wrexham fan, if you're a betting man. But the way people celebrated yesterday, and I don't blame anyone because I was very excited and giddy, was like it was done. It was like I felt like the trophy was going to come out then and there. Brilliant advert for the league, but I honestly think that fine margin, that penalty, you could look back and say that would have been maximum pressure, and there we go. But all I'll say is in the playoffs, you might get another situation like that where Ruben's gone off and you're going to take a penalty. And I'd love to know, is it going to be Scott again? Is someone else going to step up? Because that's what it's all about, mentality in the playoffs. You get one kick against Boreham Wood to fire you to a final or to fire you to the EFL. Someone's going to have to stand up there and do it and be counted. And that's big game players. And that's what I'm looking at Notts County to say, who's going to really grab games by the scruff of the neck? I thought Palmer was great. As I said, I thought he was brilliant, phenomenal footballer, really neat, tidy, class. But I just wanted someone to grab that. Well, I didn't want him, but I mean, if I was a Notts fan, I'd have wanted someone to just grab it. Maybe crunch Wrexham in a challenge. Just get the away fans off their feet a bit more. I know it's tricky, but I just thought the away crowd went, shell shot really, as we would have been in the same situation. I just felt, in a way, you needed a Roy Keane kind of reducer just to get everyone back in a bit and say, come on, Wrexham, we're right here. We're right here with you. We're not letting you bully us into submission here.
Yeah, no, everything you said in that last bit, I would totally agree with. Chris Let's get some more comments. Chris Ramson, that's the difference between the two teams. Depth. We don't have it. Failing to sign a defender or two before the transfer window closed. Spot on, Chris, says Ian Cooksey. Ramson's a strong commanding centre half, would have made a difference. I'm confident we will play better in the playoffs, says Ian Birchnell. We won't meet a Wrexham in the playoffs. Nick Jesus, don't think Wrexham will win all 4 fixtures, but have enough to secure the title. Must make a difference attacking an empty end. Duncan Comrie, at the start of the season, we didn't think we'd win the title. We probably won't, but the main goal of promotion is still in our hands. Let's embrace it and go for it. Duncan Comrie, one of our most regular followers. You see, I agree with a lot of what you say, Duncan, but at the start of the season, we didn't think we'd win the title. Well, if we genuinely did think that, then we ain't going to win it. Aim for 2nd or 3rd, you might finish 5th. Hey, there's over old ground. Yes, Wrexham may have spent a bit more than us. I genuinely believe we put ourselves in a position to go on to have won the title yesterday at half time. We didn't see it out, right? And that's not an overarching criticism of the last 42 games, but there was a window. There was a window. We didn't take it. And that, for me, is the most frustrating part of all of it, because there is a huge difference. We had Mark Stallard on the show, Nathan, about nearly. I nearly scored that. I nearly crossed the road. I nearly did that walk for charity. You never forget the nearly people. You never forget that. Sorry, you never remember.
There you go. I was going to say, yeah.
You never remember the nearly people. Andrew Blatherwick, for those of you earlier in the programme, 6 months for a tooth. Andrew is obviously post-decimalisation, 10p in his day. You had much richer parents than I did. It was a 6pence, and I'm sure I didn't get many of them. Zedo, we went into the game equal on goals, and I think second best defence. Head-to-head 3 points each. Wrexham just have more depth. Really hope the two of us are at it again. Dave Allen, he's out supporting Nathan on the show. Wrexham fan here. You were the best team I've seen in the National League at the racecourse, but the lack of directness, i.e. crosses into our box, cost you. High line also not a good idea. It's an interesting point about the crosses into the box, because I think clearly we were looking for quality rather than quantity, and the players were under orders to deliver a certain type of ball into the box. But I did notice in the first half, probably at the end you were at, Nathan, there was a bit of an aimless cross-diagonal ball towards the edge of the 18-yard line. And Ben Foster made the decision to come out. And I think everybody in the ground thought, he ain't getting that. And it's landed on Ruben's head.
Yeah.
Foster has cleaned out your centre half, and it's just bounced over the line to the wrong side of an empty net.
Right.
It's a good point that Dave mentions. Reminded me. I remember saying to Trevor and Chloe next to me, I said, "We know aerially you are very dominant. Ben Foster's ended up being the hero with the penalty save and the tipping the one over the bar from Langstaff, but at that point, I'm not sure if you're a Wrexham centre half, goalkeeper, is he, isn't he? Just sling a few in. Just sling 3 or 4 in and see what happens, because you've almost freakishly got a goal from one pretty poor cross."
Well, that's what we were saying that about the throw. Just launch it in there. We always say that, just launch it in there, just to see, just to test it out early doors. We didn't get that many chances, but yeah, I was very confused why he was so, because he wasn't close to that.
No,
he wasn't close to that, and
out. You knew he wasn't going to get it.
I mean, Ruben got a good header on that, and that's not to say he should have scored it, but I mean, it was firm contact, and and Foster wasn't close to that, and I was very confused by how he'd got that so wrong. He'd misjudged it, and yeah, people will say the penalty, that's what he's going to be remembered for, the penalty and the save. I think he tips one over from Sam Austin, was it? And yeah, so he makes great saves late on, but yeah, early on, I just thought as well, corners, and again, this will be something that I'm sure your viewers know well, or maybe it's not the norm, but he didn't seem to want to whip a corner in.
No,
It seemed like every corner.
Barcelona now, Nathan.
Yeah, I was going to say
short orders
because I saw
to put the ball in.
I saw the first one or two. I thought, oh, strange decision, and then after a few more, I thought, well, that's got to be an order now. They can't all be, they have to be under instruction to do that, because that doesn't make any sense otherwise. And And I'm a big moaner for short corners. I really don't like short corners. I just think get it in the mix, and a scuffed clearance, and suddenly it's edge of the box, and Ruben's got a shot on the edge of the box or whatever. I'm always a believer, just get it in the mix. So, as you're sort of saying, get it in there and just test the keeper. You should have tested Foster at that point and said, what are you made of now? Let's plant another few on the 18-yard line. Are you going to come claim it? Are you going to flap at it? And I just really thought you were going to be able to put balls in behind on the floor, whipped in behind for a Langstaff. I really was surprised. I was so surprised how well we kept him under control.
You
I couldn't
snuffed
get
out.
over that.
You snuffed out, and Chickson and the man usually deliver some lovely low balls into the box, and that wasn't going to happen from the first minute, really. But I was a little surprised we didn't then adapt to it a little bit. But look, these are all opinions, and
Yeah.
we're the amateurs. Junior Marias, Chris Gosling says we signed him.
He's injured, is he?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I think he's had a small op. We signed him
Right.
for money.
Good player.
Contract. And no one's quite sure when he's going to be fit. Junior Marais could end up being an unlikely hero, says Chris Gosling. He is built to press from the front, which we'd need against a Boreham Wood or Woking in the playoffs. Zedo, the high defensive line, stopped Wrexham set pieces. Wrexham long throws, corners and free kicks have killed most teams. But for a couple of mistakes with us, it worked.
I'm seeing stuff on here about the penalty, and one of the most fascinating quotes I saw was Foster talking about the penalty and how he felt during the penalty, and he said he felt like Scott choreographed it. The fact that he moved the ball again showed that he was nervous. This is what Foster's saying, and eventually he's dived the right way and he saved it. So you can say whatever you want, and you sound smart. You sound clever then because you've dived the right way.
Yeah.
He said the way Scott took that penalty. And I've watched a few of Rodriguez's penalties, and I never quite know where they're going to go. His run up doesn't seem to give it away. Foster said he didn't leave himself much scope to really. He had down the middle, or he had where he went, and he said he just looked him in the eye, and it just felt like it was choreographed. So I know Michael, they were saying it was really well struck, and it was a good, firm contact. But I think I'd agree with that. I think it was quite projected, maybe where it was going. Anyway, there you go.
Yeah.
Parkinson
It's an
out.
interesting one, the penalty. And when Mark Stallard is next on the show as an ex-pro, I'm going to ask him this question because it's vexed me for a little while. And this is no criticism of Kedwin or anyone, but in the modern game, everything is uber prepared, researched on the training ground, rehearsed manoeuvres, the coach, the head coach, practice everything. Yeah, we'll play against 10 against 9, 9 against 11. We'll do a set piece routine here. We'll do this. We'll do that. Good. Penalty is the single best chance you have got of scoring a goal in a game from a set piece. And Ruben is clearly our penalty taker, number one. Kedwin used to take penalties for Gateshead ahead of Macaulay Langstaff. Macca hasn't taken any. But I was interested in it. This may be Luke covering, I don't know for the players. But in the after-match interview, he said, we leave it to the players. It's left to the players. Yeah, decide. Luke Williams don't leave it to the players to decide if it's a 3-5-2, 4-4-2, drop an extra person in, do a set piece, short corners. You don't leave it to the players to decide, I'll tell you what, we'll start taking long corners now. Everything, as it should be, comes from the head coach or the manager imbuing their characteristics and their expertise onto the players. So I would be interested to understand why something like a penalty suddenly becomes the responsibility of the players, given it's so important.
You'd think you'd have all the data to, Ruben is obviously the de facto number one. He's not on the pitch. You'd think you'd have all the data. And look, maybe the data is that Kedwin Scott is the second best penalty taker at the club.
It may well have been. I suspect so.
Right. So then maybe,
we leave it to the players.
Right. Yeah, that comment was strange. For somebody who clearly has a finger in every pie in terms of the tactical plan, like I said, the corners and everything, he's got total control of everything. So it would seem strange to, loosen the grip, so to speak, on the reins for the players. I thought, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Look, maybe that is just a comment that he's thrown out there that it's not actually true, and maybe it is driven by the data. But I can't imagine he would lie. I don't know. It was a strange thing to say, and we're not in a park football. It's not just who puts their hand up first and gets to take one. I thought that was strange. But like I say, the data may end up backing it up that Kedwin was the number 2 anyway, and that would be the case.
Okay, few more comments. Totally agree, Nathan, says Nick G. We don't put enough balls into the box. Never challenged Foster at crosses. Why we don't get balls in for the likes of Rawlinson, Cameron and Bostock. Chris B, I detect some sarcasm. After listening to everything that Notts do wrong, I assume we are getting relegated. I assume you're happy with 4 successive years in the National League in the lowest standard that Notts County have ever competed, Chris, because I'm not. That's not criticism. But that's not a reason to be happy either. Chris Jordan, statistically, traditional corners are far more likely to result in conceding possession than creating a chance. That's why we very rarely do it. Good old statistics. Yeah, okay. I think statistically, Wrexham have got more points than anyone else this season. How many short corners do you take, Nathan?
None.
Okay. I'm
Zero.
not saying that's right. I'm being facetious. I'm not saying
Zero.
it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. But it's a talking point. Chris Gosling. Chris comes up with some good one-liners, to be fair. Gosling came out for that cross because his GoPro was about to go into sleep mode.
Could well be.
Oh dear. There's a few more, and I can see one or two people's getting a bit narky now. So there's no reason to get narky. We're all respectful on this programme. Michael Bath, there's a couple of people mentioned Bostock's goal. Obviously, it doesn't matter to you now, Nathan. Do you know that was we sponsor him on the Magpie Circle? John, he's a lovely guy. You know that was John's first goal for 7 years.
I know, 2016. I couldn't believe that. Yeah, and you could see in his celebration what it meant to him as well. As you could tell it really meant a lot, that, and it was a great finish. You have to say, I'm looking at the wall. The wall jumps, that doesn't go in. I'm confused why they didn't jump. I've not really seen that from us this year. We usually always jump. We obviously felt like he was going to drill it along the floor for whatever reason, but yeah, take nothing away. It was a fabulous goal. And looked neat and tidy. I have to say, I thought Jody Jones was the one I was quite excited to see. I like the look of him when he came on. I thought he looked a level above. I thought he looked like somebody who you could tell on the ball. There's one move in particular, I think he just split 2 of our players, like they weren't there. And I just thought, yeah, you're not a 5th division player. You're a good player who can go up the leagues. And there are a few like that. But yeah, Bostock, I couldn't believe when I actually saw someone texting, it's his first goal since 2016. Typical, it's coming against Wrexham. I thought that can't be right. But yeah, it was. And you hope now that can start a little mini run or something in the next few games, because he looks got a great strike on him.
Yes, and he played. There was an amazing stat with Geordie. He played something like his first full 90 minutes for 4 years for us earlier this season.
Wow. His injuries are just.
Why he's with us. He's obviously had some challenges with injuries and all the rest of it, because he's played his career exclusively like Championship and League One. So he's undoubtedly got it. And to be fair, he has done really, really well for us and been available for virtually all of the games. So
Yeah,
fair play.
fair play.
I'll tell you one person who, and I don't know what it's like at Wrexham, you tend to get players that are always more likely to be criticised than others.
Right.
And in that case, there's always a debate between what I would call the new age goalkeeper, who has to be as good with their feet as their hands, kick the ball out, play it on a sixpence and all the rest of it, compared to the more traditional goalkeeper. And so we have Sam Slocum, we've had some younger on loan Premiership goalkeepers. And I thought Slocum played really well yesterday. And when you had a few crosses came into the box, I thought he dealt with them very well as a goalkeeper. And people keep talking about the Kedwin. I'm not criticising Kedwin at all. Not at all. I'm just interested in how we get to the point where we decide whoever it is. And someone asked me who would have taken the penalty. I'm assuming the head coach would have had a number 2 choice and a number 3 choice. And whoever's the number 2 and number 3 on the pitch at that time takes the penalty, would be my answer to that. But going back to Sam made that really good save. Do you remember when?
Incredible. Dolby should make it 4-2. That is
that would have killed
huge save.
That's a great save from
Huge
Sam.
save.
That is a great save.
A huge save because that would have iced the game. Would have been done. And like I say, I'm harping on it, but he makes that save. Kedwin scores the pen. That save is as good as the penalty, because without that save, then you get the point, and that was a huge save. And I was surprised he made it, because again, Dolby's been in good form. It's not that far out. It's a massive save. You have to say it's a really, really fine stop, that.
Yeah, and I just sometimes think Sam doesn't always get either the credit or the
keepers never do, though. Keepers never do. I mean, Mark Howard got hounded out of our team, and now he's had a podcast with Ben Foster, and he said, been so complimentary about. He told Phil Parkinson, go and get Ben Foster if you get the chance, and all this sort of stuff. Very magnanimous, very respectful. People are like, oh, he's actually quite a good guy, and maybe we don't need to like abuse him to the nth degree, But I just think goalkeepers. I mean, I don't know why you'd ever want to be a goalkeeper or a referee. I don't know why you'd want to be either of those things, because no one will ever praise you, and you always just get hammered. Okay, Foster you get a bit of praise as a goalkeeper now and again, but more often than not, you get hammered. You get blamed for every error, and if you make a mistake, which 10 of the 11 players do every single week, multiple times a game, there's no one to clear up for you. It's in the back of the net. So yeah, I mean, goalkeepers. I doubt why on earth any kid grows up to be a goalkeeper. I don't know how we get goalkeepers. I don't know why there's not a shortage of them. I'd never want to be one. I'd never encourage anyone to be one. But yeah, Slocum was fine. There was a lot of talk in the concourse our side that he's the weak link. Test him. He's shaky. He's nervous. I don't know whether that's just people reading the forums or they've actually watched him or what. But the idea that there was this idea that Sam Slocum was his massive liability, and it didn't turn out to be the case.
James Shipley says, I really hope we can retain Jones after his loan. You can see the higher league quality him and Bostock bring to us. Chris Gosling, any other season we'd already be packing our bags for our summer holes. Terry Taylor says, put balls in the box. We used to put balls in the box earlier in the season, but didn't get nothing. That's why we have changed, I think.
Fair enough.
Malcolm Shearston, my opinion is that whoever is confident at the time should take the penalty. We're coming up to an hour. I said we'd do 45 minutes. Nathan, thank you ever so much for taking the time.
No problem.
We don't 100% say congratulations yet, because you haven't 100% done it. But I think we can all agree whoever ends up with the most points this season deserves to win the league. Full stop. Full stop.
100%.
The rest is gossip. Yeah, the rest
100%.
is gossip. So congratulations on the win yesterday. We talk a lot about owners, and I would add to that goalkeeper, referee, owners. Because over a long period of time, you seldom get praise. There'll be times when you are praised as, on a par with a Roman god. Yeah. 3 months later, right, you've lost 6 on the spin, your manager's gone somewhere else, right? You are then the devil incarnate. And we all say at the time, Ryan Reynolds, greatest man, whatever he does at this football club, he's a god, we'll do this, we'll do that. 6 months later, he's a joke. Oh, blah, 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 blah. And so we're very fickle, I think. We're very fickle with our owners. But I think you and Ryan Reynolds and ourselves with Alexandra and Christoph Reitz, we are both very, very fortunate. We're both very, very fortunate. Take a look at Scunthorpe. Yeah. Take a look at Oldham. Stockport will know where they were before they got the new owner in. That this league is no respecter of fan base, league histories, or whatever.
Yeah, look, we're both on an upward curve. I know that we both need to go up, because, like I say, if you don't go up, then people saying about Jones and Langstaff and Rodriguez, and I don't want to jinx it too much, but if say anything happens, you don't go up, your squad will look very different next year. But as things are going, and in my mind, both will go up. We're both on that upward curve, and we're very lucky that we're witnessing, what will be one of the great teams, that people will talk about in many years to come. If not to finish second and they go up through the playoffs, this is still a points record. Us and yourselves getting an obscene amount of points. This is unbelievable football. You've played essentially champagne football. We've just ground out results, and we're winning, and that's good. And I'm not knocking Parkinson for that. But yeah, we're very fortunate, and like you say, in 5 or 6 years, or even sooner, maybe people will be saying Ryan Reynolds hasn't got a clue, and we're stuck in League Two, and we're losing to Colchester, and people are saying it's time for Parky to go, and what. But right now, it's not like that. It's great, and yeah, everyone's been very magnanimous and very respectful, and I just hope, like I say, I just hope the two of us are doing another podcast in League Two, and we're all having a big ding dong saying, "Are we going to get third? Are we going to get fourth? Are we going to get automatic into League One?" Because honestly, these two teams can have a good go. I've seen Stockport. I know they went and got Kyle Wootton and from yourselves and a few others, and they took a bit of time to gel
Yeah.
when they got in. But really, the cream is rising to the top, isn't it? And I've no doubt that if Notts went up, they'd be able to keep a lot of these guys together. Wrexham, somebody says Mullen under contract. He's under contract until 2026, I think. All these guys are tied down until 2025. We're not going to have to do much. So, yeah, very fortunate and very lucky to be witnessing this great team. And I'm just delighted. I'm sorry to say to everyone on here and yourself, but I'm just delighted that it went our way on Monday, because it was hugely significant. I can't get away from that.
On that positive note, both teams in the ascendancy. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you
No
for all
problem.
your messages, as always, done in a constructive manner. Very, very busy show tonight. So as many of us will be watching Wrexham's game as we will Notts' game on Saturday, I suspect, or at least keep an eye out for your result. So bring Saturday on. Thank you again, Nathan. We'll see you all very soon. Bye for now.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.